So, Hashirama versus the five Kage. Now, let's be explicit on what we're talking about here.
100% clear.
100% clear. We're talking about, it's not even really the five Kage, it's the four Kage.
Yeah,
Gaara,
Kusuchi, Darui, Gaara, and Chojuro.
yeah, that's it. No Naruto, no Sasuke, nothing else, just those four. And we are talking about them as they appeared in the Momoshiki fight. Any training that may have happened afterwards, and they maybe got stronger or something like that, you know, we're not accounting for it.
Exactly. We're not the others.
They might have been training, we have no idea. So
This is also only up to chapter 75.
yeah, only
You're
up to
watching
chapter
this,
75.
And Boruto has what, 500 chapters or some shit, and they can destroy a universe? Cool.
Yeah.
We don't know.
And what, chapter 76 comes out tomorrow, but they're probably not going to be in it, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so now that that's out of the way, we should be extremely clear, and we're just talking about whatever you think the strongest form of Hashirama is. That's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, him.
I know some people think he got weaker after the Madara fight. Some people think he got stronger. Doesn't matter. Whichever one you think is the strongest, that's the one we're talking about here.
And if you think it's Edo, just imagine it's Edo without the immortality.
Yeah. I mean, even if it doesn't matter. Yeah, just imagine Edo without immortality. But yeah, that's the most explicit version we could go over. Now, we will cover some anime stuff in this video, but for the most part, it's going to be manga exclusive. I think we're going to bring up, I think we might bring up some things from the novels as well, but if we do, it'll just be like some kind of supplementary stuff. So it's not too important.
Yeah, none of what we say should need those. Those are just like extra supporting things to add on if you were to take them.
So, obviously, you know, subscribe to Troy. Y'all have heard him throughout these 2 minutes, and subscribe to me as well. Anyway, so I think a big part of the how strong the Kage are is their fight with Momoshiki and Kinshiki, like we said we're covering. So. Yeah. A big problem with this that a lot of people have, and a lot of people have with the power scaling of Boruto in general, is like, oh, everybody's god level now. Everybody hates that. I think that if you accepted the Kage are god level, or like Otsutsuki level and whatnot, then there has to be this thing that, like, in my head I feel is weird. I don't like the idea that Kuretsuchi, Gaara, Chojuro, and Darui all have more potential than Naruto and Sasuke. Because you think about it, Naruto and Sasuke, they didn't get here on just hard work alone, even though they did work hard, right? And obviously they've probably been training within the time gap that we had. I think it's 16 years. Or Al says it's been 16 years since he last had his battle.
About 16 or 12.
Yeah.
Another, just a main issue I have with the more potential stuff is we've been watching Naruto and Sasuke since part 1. Sasuke comes from the legendary Uchiha clan. We know with the Sharingan, all of their little mental amps, emotional amps. He's been like a talent since birth, right? Mastering the fire style jutsu at the age of, I think, what it is, 8?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 8.
Yeah, and Naruto, even though he has the 9 tails, right? We see him, he's able to conquer Sage Mode without the help of the 9 tails, just up to his talent and hard work alone. He also has the Uzumaki bloodline and heritage, and he's the son of Minato, the 4th Hokage. Mm-hmm. So to say people like Darui, who is just some random from the Cloud Village, and Chojuro,
and
Kuretsuchi, someone who has just a hidden mist sword, is on the level of these guys and have way more potential than them, just kind of goes against what I think Kishimoto wanted to happen in the manga.
The only one of them that's like acceptable with it would be Gaara.
Yeah, maybe Gaara.
Yeah, it's like maybe Gaara, because Gaara was always kind of seen as a genius and, you know, really strong and whatnot as soon as he was introduced. But as far as we know, Kuretsuchi, Darui, and Chojuro, I don't even know their last names, what clans they hail from. Oh, wait, I think, is Chojuro a Hoshigake? I don't think he is.
Chojuro might have some minor little bloodline stuff with some hidden.
He's got the sharp teeth though, right?
Yeah. He does have sharp teeth. But the main one is Darwin. We see in the Hidden Cloud Village, people like, let's say A and B, they say they're brothers, but in reality, B, I think, what was he, an orphan?
Yeah, they're like,
So it's like,
they're not really brothers. They're not blood brothers.
yeah. So people who can come up to power and come to have high positions within the Cloud Village don't even have to be related to like the Kage's bloodline or anything. So Darui, for all we know, can just be another orphan, which will
Now,
make it even worse for him to have potential higher than Uchiha.
keep in mind, me and Troy, we're not saying this is impossible, that they have higher potential than them. After all, there's been numerous times where an exceptional, I've just touched on this in my last video, or it's my last video now, but it won't be by the time this is out. But I just touched on this, like exceptional shinobi pop out from unexceptional parents all the time. Like Minato has, well, who were his parents? No one knows.
We don't even know.
Sakura's parents aren't even shinobi. Guy, his dad was weak, super weak.
Wasn't even a guinea.
He was a guinea.
He killed himself just to lose to like some of the swordsmen from way back. They're probably weaker.
Yeah, so it's not impossible. We're just saying it's a bit weird that they have way more potential than Naruto and Sasuke. Now,
Especially as main characters.
and that's keep in mind, if you accept that they are Otsutsuki level. If you don't think that they're Otsutsuki level, because I know a lot of people say like, oh, they're scaled to Kinshiki over Kaguya. We're gonna get into that, obviously.
Yes.
Spoiler alert: Kinshiki's not over Kaguya
At all.
but
Close actually.
but yeah, so yeah, that's if you accept that other part. Now, I guess you want to talk about Hashirama now, or
Yeah,
what do you want to get into now? I don't know.
We can kind of dive into what makes Hashirama the formidable shinobi he is.
Okay, I mean healing. Healing's number one. Hashirama doesn't need hand signs.
He's way better than Tsunade. So whatever Tsunade did, and apparently Tsunade is nothing compared to him. Nothing.
Yeah, so
by the way.
no hand signs, can heal entire organs. So I mean, already it's tough to just put Hashirama down.
If you don't have like an attack that kind of like blows up his entire body, yeah, you may not be able to defeat him.
And Madara says like the healing or whatever is what he thinks makes Hashirama the ultimate shinobi.
Yeah.
Now another thing, and we'll touch on this a little bit later, I'll have to re-bring it up, but the Kage do have teamwork, but Hashirama has crowd control. He's got deep forced emergence, he's got wood clones, he's got the Four Crimson Ray barrier, which he should be able to do on his own, because
Rashomon gates.
he has the Rashomon gates, the deity gates, he's got the poison flowers, but he should be able to do the Hokage barrier on his own, because Hiruzen, Minato, Tobirama, and a clone of his did it, and he still made clones on top of that, so he should be able to do the Kage barrier on his own. But yeah, that's just some of the like crowd control moves he has. So even though the Kage have hella teamwork and whatnot, he should be able to disperse them and make the battle one-on-one if he needs to.
It's kind of almost like when Naruto's fighting like a bunch of people. He'll use like a multi-shadow clone jutsu. So it's like just a bunch of him now versus everybody.
Yeah. So to get into like Hashirama scaling and whatnot, we will admit it's a bit hard to link these people. Like it's kind of hard to link and say Hashirama would be stronger than the Kage. Just like as we'll go over in a minute, it's kind of hard to link the Kage to Hashirama, at least in terms of a scaling chain. But what we do have is their move sets, like we went over earlier.
Yeah.
So Chojiro's got that sword. It comes with a lot of specific moves, but there's one move in specific that's extremely impressive, and it's called the Blood Mist Sword Technique Bone Mutilation.
Yes.
Now,
Cool name, by the way. I love the name.
in the novel, it says that this technique severs chakra networks. However, that part of the ability is completely omitted from both the anime and manga. So if you want to take that as like, okay, if he lands that, okay, maybe they can seal Hashirama like they did with Kinshiki. But I mean, you know, it's some novel stuff. So
Yeah.
we don't really want to use it, but it is there if you want to look for it.
Even though like Six says this completely omitted from the manga and anime, if you were to try to say that this was in the manga, it does kind of have some proof for it. We see when they're doing battle with Kenshigi, they kind of form this group plan. I'm pretty sure it's formed while they're traveling through the portal into the dimension, but the plan is something along the lines of they distract Momoshiki, Darui, and Gaara because he absorbs techniques, and Gaara just makes pedestals, so Darui can kind of rush in and do taijutsu. Momo kind of has to flee around and block. But Chojuro and Kuretsuchi, they fight Kenshigi with just taijutsu because he's like a brawlic fighter. He can't absorb any techniques. While Sasuke is busy with Kenshigi, Kuretsuchi is traveling underground and Chojuro is preparing his big attack. He slices the God Tree, which grabs Kenshigi's attention. Kenshigi walks over there. While Kuretsuchi's underground, she kind of pops up and hits him. That allows Chojuro to prepare his blood mist sword technique bone mutilation, which basically the name kind of implies what it mutilates bone, kind of getting them out of the battle. Sasuke shocks him, he hits him with this technique, then he gets sealed. Now, for this plan to be like a combo attack and sealing, sealing works on the chakra levels, right? For that to be a reason needed for the plan, it would have to do something to the chakra networks. And the fact that it's also like a needle-like jutsu, we see those consistently kind of bother something. Haku's, I think, hits pressure points, does it? And things like Kage's hair needles also hit pressure points and chakra points as well.
Yeah, they hit Sasuke's Hawk's chakra points.
Yeah, with all of that, we can say, well, Chojiro's maybe hits chakra networks too. So the novels, even though they aren't canon, this definition could still be applied in the manga.
Yeah. Now, and then, so what Troy mentioned is actually part of another part of the argument against the Kage scaling to like Otsutsuki super level or whatever. This is all a plan. Like almost everything the Kage do is a plan here. So they come in, Sasuke starts fighting Kenshiki. This is after when they free Naruto, they split into two different teams. Gaara and Darui go for Momoshiki, who can absorb ninjutsu, and then Chojuro and Kuretsuchi go for Kenshiki, who can't absorb ninjutsu, and then Sasuke like helps them out a little bit. So the plan, from what we can gather, was to get Kuretsuchi to hit Kenshiki while he was open, which is what Chojuro notes. Kenshiki says, "You're wide open." Chojuro says, "As are you," smirking, and then that's when Kuretsuchi pops out of the ground and punches him away. Then Sasuke shocks him and sends him to the ground. Then that's when the bone mutilation comes out. He hits him in the back, and then Sasuke calls for Kuretsuchi, and she says on it, implying she already knows what she needs to do, and then that's when she seals him. So it's like, okay, yeah, Kuretsuchi did land a hit on Kenshiki, but it was all part of a plan to, for one, get him wide open first, and then let's not act like this isn't true. This was a surprise attack, completely.
And what kind of leads even more like credence to this is, after this surprise attack, so he won't get surprised anymore, Kenshiki activates his Byakugan.
Yeah.
He literally does not have it active on. He doesn't have it activated. After he gets surprised, he just activates it, so he won't get surprised anymore. But it's sadly too late.
No, and then another thing too, Kenshiki literally gets attacked every point here. He gets attacked from behind or by surprise. Sasuke hits him in the back. Chojuro hits him in the back. And then after he's stunned, Kuretsuchi seals him. And then she, surprised him like I mentioned earlier. Every attack was designed to just take him down basically as quick as possible. So I don't think it's fair to scale Kuretsuchi and the Kage to Otsutsuki level just based on this. And then if you want to talk about the Momoshiki Gaara thing, it's sort of implied that Momoshiki isn't really like a taijutsu type fighter, brawlic fighter, until he absorbs Kenshiki, because that's Kenshiki's specialty. Before that, Momoshiki just likes to use what they call ammunition. He likes to shoot other people's ninjutsu back at them. That's kind of his whole thing. So when you get him into a taijutsu fight, he's obviously not going to be as effective. But yeah, you can talk about what you want to talk about.
Yeah, something else that kind of goes into why we shouldn't say they're Otsutsuki level or they scale to these beings like Momoshiki and Kenshiki. Usually, we see this throughout fiction, especially anime specifically. When the big bad boss gets jumped by a bunch of the heroes, is to imply that, okay, this person is not able to be taken down by one person. This one person has no chance against this guy, so all of us can gang up and kind of catch him off guard, beat him up, whittle him down, and then inevitably beat him. That is exactly what happens to Kenshiki. He gets shocked, attacked from behind, sneak attack, surprised attack. Inevitably, he's on the ground, stunned from a Chidori, and Chojuro is able to sever his chakra networks, and he's able to get sealed by Kurtsuchi. They literally have to jump him. And if you were to say someone that had to get jumped scales to one individual person who's jumping him, it'd be kind of weird. It's kind of meaningless to jump him then.
Yeah, so like we said, when you get to that point and you don't scale the Kage to Otsutsuki level, even if you do think they're stronger than Sakura based on the Shikamaru statement, for one, Sakura, you can't prove she's been training, so she may have gotten weaker over time. We don't really think she scales the Kaguya in the first place to say that, you know, the Kage would one-shot Kaguya. It was pretty clear that Sakura had like a mental amp. I've talked about that so many times, I really don't feel like talking about it again, but to say that the Kage or Otsutsuki level is basically like a no-go for us at this point. So comparing them to Hashirama in terms of like linking the scaling back is kind of hard to do, but when you just look at their move sets, it's pretty clear that Hashirama just has the overall better move set, especially to combat people like how they fight. Because you got to keep in mind, even when we're talking about, oh, they maybe scale when jumping, they only do that with Sasuke. Sasuke's helping. Sasuke is a massive help because Sasuke actually is Otsutsuki level.
And
So,
it kind of, and the speech throughout the fight also kind of implies that Sasuke is the one who came up with, if not the entire thing, the majority of it. He's making the call outs, making sure everyone's on track, on time. He's like a strategic, and he's the smartest one there, right? So,
right.
Yeah, this is, even if you want to say they have this big teamwork thing, Sasuke is pretty much needed.
I mean, Sasuke is a planner anyway. He's always been a planner. He's always been able to plan out his fights pretty well. So, I mean, it's definitely not out there to say that Sasuke planned the whole thing himself. We don't know when they made the plan. It could have been, you know, whenever Boruto was like waking up after he got knocked out at the not Kage Summit, Chunin exams. We don't really know, but it doesn't really matter when they made it. All we know is they made it, they executed it, and it worked.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, at that point, it really is just, okay, we can't say who scales over who, so let's look at whose kit, who has the better kit, and Hashirama can not only control this battlefield, he can split it up into 4 different fights, and then if he wants to, just activate poison flowers and finish them.
And if that fails, Senju is bigger than the perfect Susanoo and Nine Tails. So it's like, yeah, they don't have the AoE to reach that or destroy it. So that's another GG. That also has big ass AoE as well. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just like that. Hashirama kind of just wins, but
yeah,
you know.
So for all you people who are Boruto ruin power scaling, everyone scales to god tiers like Kage. They don't.
Yeah, they don't. They don't scale there.
Hashirama's still a top tier. He's still boxing.
He's still up there. He's still up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, obviously, subscribe to Troy. Subscribe to me. Like the video. And goodbye.